Welcome. Thank you for joining me. This lesson is all about revision. The objective is that by the end of this lesson, we can revise ideas and edit punctuation. Those are different, and we'll see that in just a little bit. And the goal is reader engagement. So, what is revision? It literally means to see again. So we're taking a fresh look at our writing. And in contrast to editing, which we'll look at in a little bit, it's concerned mainly with ideas and logic. So it's one part of the writing process, and it takes even more thought and reflection in some ways than other parts of writing. So you really have to change gears in order to do it. In order to prepare to revise, here's just a few ideas, but you want to separate your drafting and your revision process so you actually can see your writing again with fresh eyes. So you could take a walk, you could read something interesting, and do whatever would help to get the draft out of your mind, but you're in charge of that process, and you just want to figure out some way to get your mind off of your writing, so that way when you come back again it looks fresh. So I mentioned that revising is different than editing, so you can think of a couple of mnemonic devices. The first is the word arms, which would stand for add, remove, move, and substitute, in contrast to cups, which would stand for capitalization, usage, punctuation, and spelling. So really helpful mnemonic devices to show the difference between revision and editing. So what might you add? You could add new sentences or words. You could remove unneeded words or sentences, move sentence or word placement to freshen things up, or you could substitute worn out words or unnecessary sentences with more helpful sentences. On the editing side of things, you definitely want to be looking that you have all letters capitalized that need it, especially I. That's a common mistake, especially the more that we text. Usage, you want that subject-verb agreement, and can be really tricky without revisiting, so slow down and look at it. Punctuation, you want to look at your periods, quotations, especially with dialogue. When you are writing a narrative, be careful that you're punctuating that correctly, and your spelling. So when you're revising, you want to ask yourself some questions to consider your work as a whole. Does it satisfy the intent of the assignment or your primary writing purpose? And did you actually address the audience that you intended to? You want to consider the content. Is your controlling or central idea clear and well supported? Do you have enough? Often students don't write enough to give your reader a decent sense of what you're writing about. Did your ideas flow logically is a huge deal. So again, the slowing down, looking with fresh eyes helps with that. And do you have clear and focused ideas? So here's thinking about form. You want to look at your introduction. Does it actually engage? Is it interesting? If people aren't engaged, they're going to stop reading. Does each paragraph support and expand the central idea? And is there sufficient details, especially in a narrative? Are your paragraphs connected logically, or are you jumping around in your narrative? And in narratives, you don't need topic sentences as often, but if needed, definitely consider that. So think about your conclusion. Does it proceed naturally? And that's in stories, natural is huge. So does it flow? And is it satisfactory? That's a big deal when you're writing a story. You want it to be meaningful. It doesn't have to be happy, but it needs to be meaningful for your readers and satisfying. So don't be afraid to weed. So in editing, it's kind of like weeding a garden. You want to take out the stuff that's not going to be helpful for the growth of your story. Anything that would distract, whether it's sentences, paragraphs, words, any of that. So remember, revising is the key to good writing. So don't skip this step. You got this.